And we're live.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 123 of Fans of Power. I'm Joe Amato. I'm here with my partner in crime, Tyler T-Rex Baker. How you doing, T-Rex?
Doing all right, man. Doing all right. Getting through this snowstorm we had in our area, all that crap, power outages and stuff. So I'm ready to sit down and have some fun.
Well, at least it didn't knock out your power, because I know Nathan, our buddy in Beyond Retro, he had problems with his power, correct?
Still does he had a tree knock out the power line of his house, so he's like the only one on his block that doesn't have power now. But the roads are cleared and everything's looking a lot better in this area too. So I'm ready to sit down and have some good, powerful fun on the podcast. Honestly, it feels like it's been so long, I guess, since last week for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's just been a long week with snow and everything. It just feels like it's been so long since you and I have sat down and talked.
It is. It's weird. Like you said, we just did it last week, but it does seem like it's been a while. But well, I guess hey, when you're always ready to do another podcast, sometimes you get antsy for it. But well, let me say hello to JSP in the chat room, Zentron in the chat room, and Zen Brown. So thank you all for joining us. And let me see, what was that? Finally dragged myself away from my work reproducing the episode Friendship. Really a lot of work. That's something Zentron said. Not quite sure what he meant, but I figured I'd read what he said right there. But no, we have a couple different topics today. I mean, there's a couple episodes we're going to discuss that there's an episode of Princess of Power that Tyler likes that I'm not too fond of, and an episode that I like that Tyler's not too fond of. So we're going to try something different to where we're going to give each other a little spin on, not a spin, but basically our impressions of our episodes to see if we can maybe sway the other to maybe liking it. So we'll see if that works. We'll do a character discussion and another little thing towards the end, maybe even towards the middle. But first, before that, Tyler, was there anything currently happening? Anything in Masters news? Anything new from comics to cartoons? Anything you think of, or has it been pretty quiet?
Well, just as a reminder for those people who like to buy such nonsense, the He-Man new movie is supposed to start filming next month.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna be right all over that, huh?
Coming here in about a week or so, people. No one's been cast, no director, no finalized script. Are people still holding on? But it's gonna happen. I just want to make fun of those overly over the top optimists. You know,
I think half the time with that, it seems like it's the ones that, I mean, as you see a lot of times in the groups and other places, that there's fans that are just now like coming back to He-Man one way or another. However, they got back into He-Man. So to them, it's like when they hear this movie news, it's new to them. But to you and I, and probably most people listening to the episode right now, live or even later on, they've heard this before at least 15 times for X amount of years, 12, 13, 14, 15 years. So we're kind of like immune to it. So we don't,
but
like,
in this day and age of social media, it's hard to not know. When a new movie's coming out or something has been announced regarding a TV series. Toys I can almost understand because even though people who are into movies and popular culture, video games, may not know obviously that there are toys like He-Man that are available in like the classics line or pops or whatever the case may be. But with movie news, I kind of almost felt like that seems a little bit more easily accessible on social media. Like you would see stuff being posted through not just on movie websites, but various people sharing it. If you have common interests, it just kind of feels like it's kind of hard to avoid. I mean, you of all people, for people who don't know, Joe doesn't watch trailers and look at spoilers or anything that showcases what a movie is going to entail, other than maybe the plot of it. So if Joe is constantly ducking, it almost feels like how is it that people are still just dumbfoundedly coming across this news as if like it's breaking news. I'm the first one to post this. No one else knows this except me. I'm going to share it, you know, and I will have let everyone know that this movie is happening. And he just like, guy, where have you been? I see it pop up every so often. I just kind of shake my head and just, I just kind of feel like, not everyone's a hardcore fan, but I feel like there's some things like, how can you not know that?
yeah, and because I mean, it's going to come and go again. I mean, there's absolutely no doubt that April's going to come. nothing is going to begin shooting. And this deadline of December of 2019, it's never going to happen. So it's not going to, again, it's like we always said, Tyler and I, just along with all of you, we'd love a new movie. Of course, we'd love a new movie, but just it's not going to happen. I mean, the only thing that will happen, which I bet you, I got one of them feelings that maybe they'll say something about that upcoming She-Ra cartoon, maybe in April, because it's
Yeah.
been very quiet on that front.
It's not for guys our age or women our age. It's meant for a generation where they're going to, change it up, change the look, make the women look unattractive and unappealing and just very, it's going to be sloppy, silly, overly kiddie. It's like, but that's fine. They're doing that. Another god awful, oh, not another god awful.
Turtles, the Ninja Turtles,
Yeah,
is that what you're?
just looks like an abomination.
Wow, I
You know,
went to those turtle pages and those turtle groups, and you talk about wow, you talk about mayhem. You think Masters of the Universe fans can go nuts on some things? Those turtle groups are just
because I see people, your cliche social media apologists coming on there telling everybody you shouldn't think that way. It's like, I'm sorry. You know what? You're right. I'm not allowed to have an opinion based on what they're showing me. The first impression, you know what? You are right. The simple fact they've got John Cena playing a leading voice in a Turtles animation. They've got Raph, the big hulking leader of the group with no size.
Wait, hold on, because again, since I haven't really watched any of the previews to know what's going on, did you say John Cena is voicing one of the turtles?
No, one of the bad guys on the show.
Oh, one of the bad guys. Okay, because the only thing I seen somebody show a screenshot or a still shot was I think it was Raphael, and he has like a sharp tooth or something. A lot of people were like even going bananas about this tooth, I think.
Yeah, and he's got sticks instead of size, I guess, because they felt like it's non-threatening and non-violent, and then essentially making him the leader of the group too. So somebody in charge decided to come along and decide, I'm going to change it. I'm going to make things different. And I don't care about all the fans that have kept this properly. It's all about making the 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds happy. So I hope that dies like a quick, agonizing death. So they'll know not to mess with what has always worked. And, see, stuff like that needs to fail. So that way, when someone comes along and wants to do a new He-Man series, okay, let's not make what they did. Let's not make that mistake. Let's stick to, the roots of why fans in 30s and their 40s are keeping this property alive. Let's not go through and mix it all up just for the sake of changing it up. Just to say you did put a different spin on it.
Yeah, so
it
we
ain't so much about and this is not intended to get into another ridiculous movie discussion, but it ain't so much about changing up, like refusing change. I don't mind tweaks in here, and I know Joe doesn't either. But you can't change, the core of the character. I swear, damn it, man, it seems to happen so much when they want to adapt properties, that we love or comic book characters or whatever. People do not hesitate to change a character's profile or why they do what they do or alter things. It's like they just do it and they just don't give a damn,
Yeah, I guess again, it'll be a wait and see how that goes with the cartoon. But like I said, it's been such a quiet front on that side that I'm assuming something's gonna be popping up soon. But I guess we'll wait and see. But let me also say hello to Adam Gabbard and Ruth Gilbert in the chat room. Thank you both for joining us as well. But well, Tyler, I didn't know what you wanted to start off with first. I didn't know if you wanted to start off doing a discussion on Negator, somebody that maybe a lot of people don't know about, which we can, I guess, let people know about him, or do our back and forth with the episodes that we want to talk about and try to see if we can maybe have the others see why we like it so much and see if we know where each of us are coming from. But what do you think you want to start with?
God, man. You know what? We'll do the debate first.
Okay. All right. Well, you go ahead. You start off with your episode and let everybody know the name of the episode, and you just go with it.
Okay. Me and Joe have had a private conversation like multiple times about what we're getting ready to talk about, and that we had no intention of making this something on the podcast, but we did a couple of weeks ago, and we kind of got each other riled up about it. And we said, let's save this for the podcast. But Joe and I, and not there's several episodes I kind of felt this way about, but for She-Ra in particular, I've always had a soft spot for the Laughing Dragon from season one. I rented that one on VHS. I got it right over here, the exact tape I rented as a child. Um, and I loved that episode as a kid. I really liked the sorrowful character. I liked his voice. I think Lou Scheimer did the voice. I think, could be wrong, but I liked his character arc throughout the story. I just felt so sorry for him as a kid. Not to, no pun intended, but I just found him to be such a likable character. When I got older and would continue to revisit that episode, I was like, I still like this episode. It's an episode that could have easily been like, I liked it as a kid. It's a little too silly and cotton candy for me as an adult, but damn it, man, I like the character. I like him a lot. I still feel sorry for the dragon. It's just the kind of character that me and a big softy that I can be. I just want to go over and give this big dragon a big hug because I feel bad for him. But he has a character arc in this where I feel like he does show you find out why that he's scared of damn near everything. Takes nothing to frighten him, and then by the end of it, he's challenging the horde face to face and doesn't back down and just blows a fireball right up Montana's ass, and that does happen if you haven't seen that episode. So and Joe has said that he just felt that is an obnoxious character. It's silly. It's just goofy. I guess more childish than anything else. And I don't see it. I don't see it at all. Because there are some really goofy ass voices that have been used in the original He-Man and She-Ra cartoon, but I do not feel like Sorrowful's voice constitutes as like, oh man, this was like a lazy. They were just kind of phoning it on this one. I genuinely love the character of Sorrowful. It's kind of the same thing in Prisoners of Beast Island. Kind of the same thing. Not as good as the Laughing Dragon, but overall, I love this character, and I think you'd be hard pressed, Jared, to find others who don't like it.
No, there's probably plenty of people that do like it. I just, for whatever reason, even as a kid, I didn't like just just the way he talked. It reminded me of some of these other cartoons where they had simpleton characters, and so not saying he's really a simpleton, but his voice, it just wasn't flattering to me. But then the character, what annoyed me is, it's like, okay, I've seen this before, meaning you have this dragon, which is dragons are known as being the most imposing characters probably in fantasy history. And of course, he's a cowardly dragon, as Imp likes to say, a
Yeah.
cowardly dragon. But I felt like it was, even for me, beyond the part of him just being just so frightening, which annoyed me, was I felt it was like a nod to the Wizard of Oz. I was like, okay, I've seen this story where you have the cowardly lion, which is supposed to be, the king of the jungle, is scared at everything in the world. And then Sorrowful felt like that. And then as the cowardly lion needs his courage and has to make it to the Wizard of Oz to get something that obviously is just an object to represent courage in him, you even have Sorrowful going to Castaspella, who's like a sorceress who maybe can help give him courage. And when he enters the doors of Castaspella, and she says something like, silence or speak, whatever she said, she like said something to him that when she spoke with her voice loud, he got scared and fainted, just like the cowardly lion when the wizard spoke to him, fainted from him. I just felt like I was watching, in a way, Wizard of Oz on Princess of Power. And even, I don't know, it's just there was elements that felt just so silly to me. Even the part where when Sorrowful first appears, and of course, bows to rescue She-Ra, which is very great. I'm sorry, Adora, like, here, let's go into this like little hut or something to hide from the dragon. And then Cal comes out, I think, and then sees Sorrowful, and Cal gets scared, but so does Sorrowful. When Sorrowful turns, his tail hits that little hut, flies way up in the air. You see the whole hut, and they look out the door, and then boom, it lands, and suddenly Bo has like a dress on. And when Bo comes out of the hut and comes up to confront Sorrowful, he's shocked, like, oh, a dragon can talk, you can talk, and he's like, you can too. He's like, and Bo says, well, I'm a man, of course I can. And then Sorrowful does this like sissy hand at him because he sees him wearing a dress, and I just felt like there was so many silly elements. I don't know, for whatever reason, I could not connect with this episode. It felt kind of really silly to me. And even as an adult, I was like, I can't help it. I can't like the character. And of course, then he gets his courage, which is Shira gives him like it's like a lei. I forgot what she called it, a flower of power or something that
Or
puts around his,
yeah.
yeah, and says this will give you your strength. So now he does believe that he does have some courage from this, and that's, you're right. He stands up to Leech Mantenna, which was the good part of the episode. He blows out fire, and then when he finds out at the end that this wasn't really powered, it was just within him. Like, here's the moral about courage lies inside you. He passes out and faints. And the only redeeming part I liked about the whole episode is when Shira acknowledges, Bo, you helped too. And Bo does get a nice, good kiss on the lips from Shira. And then he passes out and he's like, it was worth it. I like that part. But as for the whole episode itself in Sorrowful, God, I don't know why. I never felt him. I just was not into Sorrowful. Not saying it's, a bad episode, but for me, I could not get into that episode. I still can't. It's a shame. I can't.
But I get your Wizard of Oz connections, but however, what we get to see Sorrowful do, we don't get to see the Cowardly Lion do, like where he would directly stand up defiantly to the Wicked Witch and her army, whereas Sorrowful gets up and goes and confronts the Horde by himself. And they back talk him, and he kind of keeps with it, and then they piss him off. Which we'll make you clean up the dungeon, and we'll keep you around, and your friends will be there to keep you company, and just constantly antagonizing, like, go away, clown. That's one of my favorite lines that Leech says to him, and they just start laughing at him in typical bully fashion. Like, they don't take this dragon seriously.
And that's because of Imp. You're right. Imp went and he spied and he found out that Sorrowful is a cowardly dragon. So he takes that info back to Leech and Mantenna, which now think, this dragon's not going to do anything. So you're right. They go to him with the intentions, you're not going to do anything. But Sorrowful kind of flips the tables, shows courage, and then they're yelling at Imp, like, what did you do? I thought you said he was a coward. So, oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, and I just felt like we're given a little bit more. But I never looked at it that way. There are some Wizard of Oz connections, which I love Wizard of Oz. All the more reason which it makes this such a wonderful episode. I just don't see it. I mean, because it's you, I can almost see why you might think Sorrowful is an obnoxious character, but God, I like, it takes nothing to irritate me with certain characters in cartoons, and that is one character I would stand defiantly in front of it and defend in front of anybody. I love the character. It's a character that could have so easily been portrayed as obnoxious as hell. Because God knows we've seen our fair share of those in the He-Man She-Ra cartoons, but I just can't say that Sorrowful is such a lovable coward in it that and I just felt like his story arc was done correctly, and that it could have easily been screwed up. It really could have, to where I would probably could have shared Joe's sentiments about it. But God, I think it's such a great episode. It's an episode too that, like so many, goes unnoticed. Everything is like just Secret of the Sword and Shadows and Skulls, and back to Shadows and Skulls and Secret of the Sword, and Horde Prime takes a holiday maybe, and I named a couple of others that I feel like are constantly get mentioned, and we could do another whole episode about what doesn't get mentioned most. But all right, well, now Joe has given his. All right, I think you need to explain your case here, because I brought the Laughing Dragon to as the prosecutor, or no, I'm the defense attorney. You're the prosecutor against Laughing Dragon. All right, now I'm going to be the prosecutor against your episode, but I guess the public here too.
All right, well, here's mine. This is, again, now, like you said, you're a big softy. You said for, like, kind of lovable characters or ones like that.
Not all,
and there's
but
yeah, but I know what you mean. You said some, but as for me, there's certain kind of characters that I've always kind of pitied, or certain things. But okay, here's an episode I like that Tyler just does not like, and you guys might not like either. But it's Enemy with My Face, and this one features Maylog. Now, this one, I mean, how it starts off, it's like Scorpia is in, they're having a bunch of vehicles that are going down one of the roads, as the Horde always likes to do when they're going to a city to try to take over the town or get taxes or whatever. But she's bragging about some kind of weapon that it took her a year to make. And of course, it is basically taken care of like that because what happens, this weapon and everything, they fall into like a hole that She-Ra made in the ground, and basically, boom, gotta go, guys. So she already screwed Scorpia's 1 year of making a weapon into nothing. So this, of course, takes it back to the Fright Zone, where Hordak and the rest of them are going nuts trying to figure a way. How can they stop She-Ra? How can they finally stop her? And one of the characters that makes it, which I love, of course, because I'm a sucker for him, is Modulok. You don't see Modulok in many episodes, so it's cool to see Modulok in there. And he's basically going to try to help figure it out with this computer, which, Hordak threatens, saying, okay, if you could do this, I'll give you back your title of being a Horde scientist. If not, you're going to be known still as the Horde cook. But, so he has this computer, which Hordak, he asks the computer, what can stop She-Ra? And the computer says, find someone as strong as She-Ra. And of course, Hordak says, but that's the problem. There is no one as strong as She-Ra. And boom, Hordak destroys this computer. As the computer starts to fade away with its voice, it says, Maylog, Maylog, Maylog. And then bam, Shadow Weaver instantly says, now I know what to do. So Shadow Weaver goes to a swamp. And in the swamp, that's where she uses a spell. She does one of her chants to create a Maylog out of this swamp and from the bog. Because what a Maylog is, it's a creature that when it touches, its victim or whoever it's after, it'll gain all its powers and abilities. So now it's Shadow Weaver is finally going to set a trap for She-Ra now. To where when the Maylog and her are encountered with one another, the Maylog, when it touches She-Ra, see, first, the Maylog is a big, like, swampy, just nasty-looking big thing. It's big and bulky because Maylog backwards is Golem. So it's like a Golem, but it calls it, Maylog. But when it touches She-Ra, you start seeing the energy transfer, and boom, Maylog turns into, like, a womanly mud monster. So it's like, okay, now what's going on here? So She-Ra's basically like sword to rope and throws the rope at Maylog like, she's going to pull her in, but Maylog's pulling with her. They're going back and forth in this tug of war where it doesn't even seem like there's going to be a winner. And since it seems like it's taken a while, Shadow Weaver decides, okay, time to leave. And boom, takes Maylog with her. But what I like to see in something, anytime you can see your main hero in trouble, it's memorable especially when I'm a kid, it's memorable. Like anytime I'd see He-Man face to face with somebody just as strong, you're like, how the hell is He-Man going to stop this person? And this was freaky because She-Ra even makes a statement. She says, I've lost. For the first time, I've lost. To hear her say that and doubt herself was actually, for me, scary as a kid because she's doubting. Cal was like, well, how do you know that? You could have beat her. But she was like, could I? Like, she was actually doubting, like, I don't know if I can. So She-Ra has to go somewhere else to where somebody you don't see too often, Light Hope. She goes to Light Hope and asks, how can I stop this Maylog? And Light Hope says the true power of She-Ra doesn't come from the sword, but from your heart. And he says, now that Maylog has your powers, ask yourself, what else does it have? When you find that out, you'll be able to know how to defeat the Maylog. So the next scene, it's back into the Fright Zone. And this is when you start knowing something's going on. Of course, after what Light Hope just says, it kind of leads to what's kind of being led to here. You see, as Shadow Weaver and Hordak are talking, Maylog's looking out a window, and then suddenly like this little bird lands on her finger, and she looks at the bird, and she kind of like has this little smile of like warmth, and you're like, okay, maybe she's not bad. You're kind of understand what's happening, but then Shadow Weaver's like, Maylog, let's go, because it's time for this next trap to set against She-Ra. And so they set another trap. And when she casts they go to another place. They go to another village. And when they go to this next village, Maylog is like dressed up as a Horde trooper. And basically, Bo wants to help, but she was like, Bo, you get the villagers and everybody get out of here. I have to take care of her. But there's like this one little girl that's like hiding in this like big jar or something that wants to see the.
There's no sense in the episode. It's that little girl.
Well, I know, but like I said, so this girl, she basically wants to see, she probably sees She-Ra as a hero. She wants to see this fight, which obviously leads to something that happens later. But so She-Ra and Maylog engage in a battle that is going back and forth, so much that, Jesus, they destroyed the board down. I was like, wow, you guys worried about the Horde. She-Ra and Maylog destroyed it. But it's basically, there's no way there's going to be a winner. They could see that, Shadow even realizes, God, these guys could fight forever. And there's not going to be a winner, which makes it seem, look it, She-Ra has met her match. So Shadow Weaver says, okay, basically now it's time to turn the tide. She does the spell. She has this machine that if she could get She-Ra into this machine, She-Ra will be stuck and she won't be able to get out of it. So Shadow Weaver uses this magic spell to create a crazy windstorm that starts having everybody starts flying. And sure enough, She-Ra flies. She gets trapped in that. But then this girl that was defenseless is in this goofy big old vase, and She-Ra takes the only thing that could have saved her from getting out of the trap and throws it to save the girl. And of course, the girl will stop, but now She-Ra is stuck in this machine. But then Shadow Weaver commands the Maylog, go get that girl. As she goes to get that girl, that's when She-Ra's going to say, like, wait, don't do it. But Maylog looks at the girl and caresses like her face and her hair. And then that girl says, she likes me. I think she likes me. And then She-Ra just finally caught on. She's like, I just realized not only does this thing have all of my powers, it also has my heart and my feelings. And she starts talking to Maylog to reach in herself and feel, like how She-Ra feels, to have compassion for this girl. She wasn't going to hurt her anyways, but what she does is Maylog grabs that sword, throws it to She-Ra, and then She-Ra's able to free herself. Shadow Weaver leaves, and then the next scene at the end, She-Ra's like, how can I repay this thing that's in front of me? How can I repay Maylog? And she's like, I want to try something. And then she says, for the honor of Grayskull, and shoots power at Maylog and turns this mud woman into a human. And now, she has, she's a real person, but she says, like, maybe you could stay now and help the rebellion. She's like, well, before I do that, I have to go out and live life to understand what it is to be alive and understand this before I can help. And then she, goes on her way, and they have their little message about, trying not to judge people by what they look like. If she looks frightening, they might not be frightening, whatever's within you. But I pitied that thing. I pitied the Maylog, but then realizing it then had She-Ra's feelings, then it had a redeeming factor. But through the episode at first, when you're seeing She-Ra face to face with somebody as powerful, I was like, you didn't see that too often. And it was memorable for me as a kid. And like I said, I seen somebody as powerful as She-Ra, but then at one time pitied this person. But then, of course, there was something redeeming good at the end. So it just stuck with me. It's just one of those episodes where sometimes there's something that really is memorable, and the Maylog in that episode, it just always stuck with me.
Do you have any idea that if this was a real court case, your entire opening statement was just gas bagging? You did nothing to tell our listeners why this is such a sympathetic character. All you did was just explain the plot of the episode, and not once did you give an example of why this Maylog character, which is why we're here, people, is a sad...
Actually, it's the episode. It's episode and Maylog. It was all together.
No. That was not the point of this discussion here. The
yes,
point
Maylog in the episode. Exactly.
Was debating over who was the more sad and sympathetic character. And instead, Joe's like, let me just project my thoughts here.
Hold that. No, now let me go back. No, it's actually the Laughing Dragon episode against Enemy with My Face. That's what it was. It wasn't the character versus character. It's all of it together.
It was too. That's
nope.
The whole...
Look at the... What does that say? What's the description episode? Laughing Dragon versus Enemy with My Face. It's characters and episodes to each other.
In our descriptions to tell everyone exactly what we're arguing about here, but you know, and I know that they don't, and we know. Little burbs there for you. The whole point of this discussion was to tell you that you're wrong, and that Sorrowful is the more sad and more sympathetic and feel sorry character than the Maylog.
To feel sorry for a simple-minded big dragon, that's all it is. It's just like stuff we've seen before. It's like, oh, I'm going to feel sorry for the big oafy dragon, which I don't know why I'm supposed to feel sorry for him, but just because he's scared, let me feel sorry for him. No, that's not the point. The Maylog is something that was created that didn't even expect life.
And it
got life, but didn't even know it was going to have life. So that's a sympathetic thing to then come out of this and show the good within.
Or she becomes a beautiful woman. There's nothing to feel sorry about.
No, but you see that there's good within her, that looking at something so evil, thinking it's evil, and it's not. There is good within her no matter what. So that's something. But the whole thing with Sorrowful is like, what?
All right, this is what I'm going to do what Joe does to me here. All right, where Joe likes to sit there and just say, well, the logic of this episode doesn't work for me here with his monocle and his pipe and his smoking jacket. All right. What?
Is that how I talk? I didn't know I talked like that. Like, oh my goodness, I did not know.
From Toledo. So anyway, Joe likes to tear apart logic. Okay, well, this whole idea that if the Maylog, whatever it grabs a hold of, immediately, gets a transfusion of how its victim thinks and as well as their strength, well then why the hell isn't the Maylog immediately acting like She-Ra in general? Why is she acting like an aggressor?
Still under the power of Shadow Weaver, just like when Adora was at some time. So she still is under somewhat of a power of Shadow Weaver.
You can't do that, though. You can't.
But she did do that. She did do it.
All she's doing is commanding. She's not putting it in a spell. The spells brought it to life. And that's what they said. The minute it grabs a hold of She-Ra, it will absorb everything that She-Ra. Even Light Hope says, if this creature has taken what makes you who you are, it should also have your mind as well. All right. Well, that clearly says the minute this creature touches you, it should be instantly good. And it's just I can't feel sorry for that. There's nothing sad or sympathetic about a character that's if they had shown Shadow Weaver, smacking this creature around or being very ugly or calling her, you're nothing but an ugly,
well, they don't have an hour, Tyler, to give the whole backstory. But she did use powers. She was commanding her. She did command her at times to do stuff.
About this,
she would. She'd tell her. She's like,
there's no evidence of this.
But no, she did. No, she did. She would command her at times, do this, do that. So she is still learning. It's like she's still, learning what, like when she becomes human, she even says she has to go out and to learn what it's like to be human and have feelings and do it. She doesn't still understand all of that. She has some of the feelings, but she has to learn about being human. She still has to know. So immediately when she's born, I'm sure she doesn't instantly have all the knowledge of being human and feelings going out of her. She has inner stuff of She-Ra.
You just got done telling us all here with your
she does. She has. She does. She has She-Ra's knowing of feelings, but she's like a kid. You can say she's a kid. She's still being taught what to do by Shadow Weaver. Shadow Weaver's still commander, so I sympathize with her. But like I said, you're doing to me what I sometimes try to do to you, and vice versa. But
only because the point of this argument that you and I agreed to was which one was the sadder character.
That was not it. It was not who the sadder character was. It was going to be the whole episode, the character and why I like it. Because I remember when I said, you were like, why do you like this episode so much, Joe? I don't see why you like it.
I watched the episode, okay?
That's what you said to me. You said, I don't know why you like this episode, Joe. It does no good.
You know why we're arguing about this? Because you like the Maylog. I like Sorrowful.
And the whole, but that's what I mean. It's the episode from them.
King Groff and all this has nothing.
It's both. It's them with the episode. So it's Maylog with the episode and Sorrowful with his episode. That's what I mean. You were discussing things in the episode. I was too. That's what I mean. It's things from what makes the whole thing.
Discussing, the attack of King Gruff's kingdom and Mr. Core being under attack. It was strictly why I think Sorrowful is a sad character that I feel sorry for this character. Whereas you told me you feel sorry for the Maylog, and yet you did nothing, not a single thing.
I did say that. How am I supposed to feel sorry for a dragon that I know nothing about? I know nothing about this Sorrowful character. Why am I going to feel sorry for this character that they didn't even say why he's frightened? Like, oh, why is Sorrowful so pitiful? They never even said why. It's like, so why do I have to feel sorry for something that is supposed to be this gigantic dragon that scares people that does nothing? He doesn't. It doesn't give a reason. It doesn't say why I'm supposed to pity this thing. I'm more annoyed. Like, that's the thing. You have to give me the case of why should I pity him, because I don't know why he is sorrowful. He's just right from the start, oh, I'm scared of everything. It's like, oh, I haven't seen this in 100 different cartoons. I haven't seen this in the stupid Wizard of Oz. It's just nonsense. Why am I supposed to pity Sorrowful the dragon? You know what? If you're too scared and you're a giant dragon, you deserve to be picked on, because you shouldn't be picked on. I shouldn't feel sorry for you because you're that big. You better breathe fire. You take care of what you have to. But if you don't, you deserve to get picked on
Okay,
because you shouldn't be.
because he's a dragon, he should be an asshole regardless. Is that what you're saying? Because all dragons are ferocious beasts, so therefore he should
Not
go
all of them.
or
Think
get in
of
trouble.
Granamir. Granamir, he's wise. He's not an ass.
Sorry for a mud monster that's brought to life that hugs She-Ra.
Granamir's not a bad guy. That's what I mean. So he could be powerful, but he doesn't have to be, like you said, an ass. But be powerful and take care of yourself. Be strong. It's like, you're a dragon. That's what I mean. There's nothing. You gave me no case of why do I feel sorry for Sorrowful. I don't. I'm annoyed by Sorrowful. It's like, you better be strong. You're not strong, then just go somewhere else. It's terrible that
Right.
dragon has.
Prime example. All right, since you've accused me of not giving you an example. In fact, hell, you even did the work for me. In the sequence where Bo comes out and in a woman's dress and starts berating Sorrowful, that scares him because he's like, but you're angry at me. That scares him. Aggression, scares Sorrowful. I mean, or even Kyle saying boo. And he's scared of everything. There's
Why
nothing.
does that make me feel sorry for him? That's annoying. That's like you're getting jumpy from words.
Because he's a giant teddy bear, so to speak.
Oh my God, Tyler, you're not helping yourself. You're making this worse. It's just he's not.
The mask is cutting off the oxygen to your brain.
No, it's to yours. There's nothing that makes me feel sorry for him.
Ask anyone in that chat room if Joe came up with one sympathetic remark.
No, it actually did. Tyler, tell me, did Tyler tell you why Sorrowful should be so pitiful as a dragon? Why we should pity a dragon? It's I don't get it. And it's, let's say JSP said you could feel sorry for Sorrowful because it's not in his nature to be aggressive. He means to harm. Did you mean he means no harm? I'm not sure what he meant there.
Yes, that's exactly.
Yeah, but Jesus, like I said, I can't pity him because he is a dragon, and this dragon should be never be afraid. He doesn't have to go bullying people and setting people on fire, but he shouldn't have no fear. And for him to have this, like, oh my God,
that's the irony of this story. It's a dragon that no one takes seriously because he's scared to death of everything until they finally say, "Look, we need your help. We can't do this without you." And just until he's irritated, that's all it takes. It's just like with any typical bullying situation. A kid being picked on can only take so much before he decides that's it and snaps right back. And that's what happens with Sorrowful. We don't get this kind of arc with Maylog. We're just kind of being told, oh, this for convenience, she thinks the way I do. But if she did, she wouldn't be acting out against She-Ra to begin with.
She's still probably learning, as she said at the end. At the end, she even said it. I still have to learn. She says this at the end, so she says it. She still is learning. She does not have all the knowledge, but she did do the right thing at the end. But it's a poor thing that was created from nothing just to be bad, but didn't want to do this. This poor thing was created from nothing to be this evil warrior, and eventually redeems herself, which hearing She-Ra and also seeing the girl. It's the poor thing is being looked at as this crazy, ugly monster when, like I said, she didn't deserve this. She didn't ask to be, brought into this world as this. But now she sees the beauty. She did get turned into a woman, obviously, at the end. But, like I said, she had a redeeming thing at the end. But I still, like I said, and fans, don't let Tyler try to sway you where he says this was just about them. This was specifically them and their episode. And like I said, I didn't like laughing. I did not like the Laughing Dragon or Sorrowful. Now, Sorrowful, remember, he was in a couple other episodes. We didn't bring up the other episodes. We just brought up this episode. So Sorrowful was in other episodes, but we specifically brought up just him for the Laughing Dragon.
Are you done?
So, there you go. So that's it. Now I'm done. There you go.
Yeah. Well, just for the record, I want everyone to know that before I started this podcast with Joe tonight, my intention was to discuss the character Sorrowful from the Laughing Dragon and how he is portrayed in that episode. I'm not going to discuss all the other minor things other than what Sorrowful is in that episode, and that's what the episode is about. If I wanted to go the gas bag route, I would have said, well, the episode starts with the town of Elrond decides to join in their independence about being freed from the Horde from She-Ra. and then I'll talk about how Bo throws a rock down a well, which used to be a fuel tank, and then that blows up. And blow can sink down on fire. And like, no, I'm not going to go down the gas bag route that Joe does. I'm here to get to the facts. I'm not here to, just blow hot air.
Hey, everybody in the chat room.
You know,
Look at what the description of episode 123 is. The
I know
Laughing Dragon versus Enemy with My Face. It does not say Maylock versus Sorrowful, because we wanted to say why not only the character, but why we like that episode. We've said it many times, like, Tyler, why do you like this episode so much? And he would say it to me. He'd say, Joe, why do you like that episode so much? And I'd tell him why. And then I'd ask him, why do you like your episode so much? So that was the reason. It was the character and the episode. It was all of it wrapped into one, a big package. Don't let Tyler, in his slick salesman way of talking, try to switch you over to thinking it was just the characters. It was the character and the episode all together. So that's why I do like Enemy with My Face more. I like the whole story, along with I do love Maylock's character, but Sorrowful and his story, I just didn't like the episode. I just don't like Sorrowful.
You believe in Easter Bunny too, don't you, kid?
I do. There you go. So thank you, Zentron. Zentron says, personally, I didn't pity either. He says, but I like the Maylock character the best. All right. Well, hey, one for you, one for me. There you go. We're 50-50. Me and you are 50-50. The chat room's 50-50. So thank you for that. This is always a good, healthy thing me and Tyler do. And before you guys think of it, no, me and Tyler are not angry with each other. We don't dislike each other. This is a thing we do.
Kayfabe here. You're letting people think that we're
I know. I just want to make sure, because I've had that. I've had people message think. Well, I don't want people thinking that we really are angry and hating each other. Some people thought that. I just want to let you guys know. I mean, sure, yes, we're going to give each other stuff back and forth, but no, it's not like that. And that's why, in fact, I even started this episode calmly, because I had a couple people tell me, they said, Joe, you get a little too passionate. You get a little too, like, intense when you're talking. Why don't you try to calm down? So that's why when I started this episode, you notice I said, hello, welcome to episode 123. I was like, you guys can tell.
That noticeable. I know what you were trying to do, because you told me in advance that you were going to.
Yeah, I was going to try it, because usually it's always.
A very good job of being very overly top monotone.
Well, that's the thing, because usually it's this. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 123 of Fans of Power. I'm the man behind the mask, Joe Amato. I'm here with my partner in crime, Tyler T-Rex Baker. I always do that, but this time I tried to be calm, because people said, Joe, try to be calm. So you can always let me know. Do you want me
to that? So let it be known that Joe answers to any squeaky wheel, whether it's one people or no people.
Two, but I wanted to try it. I just wanted to see. So I was even going to ask you guys what you thought. Like, do you want me to try to be calmer, or would you like me to try to just stick to what I always do? Because I can't do the calm thing. It's not in my nature to when I talk.
This podcast to come in and just be monotone He-Man fans, a lot of podcasts are, where everyone's just kind of speaking. There's a lot of dead air, and you have to wait for the next person at the round table to talk or something like that. God, no.
I've seen that in a horror podcast. There's a horror pod.
So for anybody to sit there and tell Joe, or if they just ever decide to tell me, that we're too passionate, then we don't need to be doing this podcast. We're not here to, read from cue cards and prep and read, and just kind of prepare in advance everything we're going to say to each other, as if like we're robots.
It's a horror, not only horror, but a wrestling podcast do that sometimes, that I've listened to, and I'm sure Tyler has as well. Sometimes there is kind of a way that it just might be relaxed, and we're like, okay, this week in wrestling, and they'll mention some of the matches or something, or talk about some of the old matches.
That's not interesting though.
I was like, how can't you get intense? I was like, I gotta lose it,
Yeah, but even then, like, even if they're not talking about something I'm particularly interested in on a podcast, like I like to listen to Tell 'em Steve Dave. I listen to Bruce Pritchard's podcast, to name a couple. They have, it's, even if they're talking about something I'm like, I don't know what that subject is about, but it can be entertaining because they're having a good time. They're not being flatlined with with no emotion, as if they're reading from the teleprompter in front of them, like Naked Gun. Turn it over to Raquel, back to Phil, and just.
Oh, I remember that part when they were reading what
the hell are you doing?
I do remember that in the Naked Gun. That killed me, that part when they're reading the cards. Raquel, turn it back to. And then, was that when he was Phil Donahue too, or something? Or
oh God, look at Donahue! He's Phil Donahue.
Oh God, That was great. That'll have to be something we talk about on Beyond Retro sometime.
Man, I hope people do not, I would think that anybody that listens to this podcast from the past, present, future, would not want anything less than, 9 o'clock our time when we're done. I'm tired. I'm assuming Joe is. He probably wants spaghetti meatball or something like that. I don't know what he wants after
What's
the
that?
podcast.
Is that a racist Italian joke or something? Wait, here we go. Now I'm Italian. Got to have spaghetti meatballs. What am I making a pizza next? Oh, here we go. This is
Quite
getting
possible.
worse.
Where everything Joe's house has got like that generic like pizza chef on a pizza box who's doing like the that.
Okay, you know what? I'll give it to you. You win there because if you do go in my kitchen, there's some Italian guys holding some of the wooden spoons that I have around the spice rack. So, hey, I guess you win with that fact because there is an Italian guy, fat guy with the big old hat holding the wooden spoon. So, you win.
If it's true, and Mike, I swear to God, that is one word in the English language. I just wish it could be stomped and buried. So, but anyway, but no, we take pride in being banterish and busting each other's balls in this podcast. It adds a little extra flavor to something other than just talking about mini comics and cartoons and characters and stuff. It's fun for us to pick on each other, make fun of the other,
Yeah.
and make it like Joe's trying to he can top me and he can't, and
There you go. See? And I'll just say, sure, Tyler. If it makes him sleep at night, sure, Tyler. I did want to say one thing. Chris Simpson in the chat room, thank you for joining us. He said Amato's is his favorite restaurant, which the reason he said that is today he tagged me in a photo, and there was this restaurant. It said Amato's, and it looked like the M in the middle almost looked like a McDonald's M. And what's strange is right next to it is the big arch from McDonald's. So I don't know if they're turning that McDonald's into an Amato's or what, but there you go. Yeah, see, there you go. It's not mine, but I did see it, and thanks for the tag on the photo. But,
that would be a great tagline for your customs. Like over a billion served.
I like that. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So,
yeah, if you make out of the M in your name, like on you don't have a website, I don't think.
No, I just have a Facebook page.
Yeah, just Facebook. I think that would be quite good. Over a billion served, or over a customs created. You could do it. You could do all kinds of crazy things with that.
Yeah, Jesus, like, man, I just, for fun, I'm always making a crazy little meme or something or a picture. And I took the cover from issue 12 of the Star Marvel comics where it said, here lies He-Man.
Yeah.
And took that out and turned it to Here Lies Toys R Us and gave the year to when it started until it's done. And wow, I mean, talking about getting shared, I was like, how did this thing get shared 650 sometimes and only got liked like 500? It's like, I've never seen a share like that. It's like, I was trying to tug on the heartstrings of people, just remembered getting He-Man video games at Toys R Us. Sure, throughout the years, did the prices go up and was there better, prices in other places? Yes, but, memories like that, it's something you can always have. And yeah, that was a fun thing.
Yeah. Much reason to shop at Toys R Us, even with the one that we used to have in Roanoke, because there wasn't a whole lot there that I was interested in buying anymore. I did go look for Turtles. I went to go look for NECA stuff on occasion, but for the most part, most of my fond memories are buying, looking for He-Man, Thundercats, G.I. Joe, Turtles, wrestling, all that stuff was looked for. Movie Maniacs, when that line was really popular, and for other things, and
I can agree. Yeah. I'd say that most of my childhood memories of getting action figures, most of them actually came from Kmart. That was where I got most of my.
Yeah. Hills and Kmart were
Hills.
Because Toys R Us, for me, it was an hour away. It was a big deal if we were going to make the hour drive to Roanoke and go to Toys R Us. It just didn't happen that much. The first time I did go, that's when I saw Beastman for the first time. It was like an end cap of all He-Man figures. I'll never forget it. And it's but I mean, yeah, like Joe, most of my toys came from other stores because Toys R Us, it was just didn't get to happen that much. But when we did go, God, it was a big deal, man. It really was. Just to me, it is the memories of going because it wasn't so easy to get to.
And same thing. It was with me. Toys R Us was further away than the Hills and the Kmart. And yes, you're right. The memories of going to Toys R Us because it was all that. It was just toys basically, unlike Kmart and Hills that had clothes, it had tools, whatever you can think, sporting equipment, lots of things, and toys. But Toys R Us was mainly just toys, and eventually, started going into toys and video games. But no, I remember the Toys R Us trips I'd go to. They were cool, but most of them, it was Kmart, it was Hills, it was Cooks, it was Children's Palace, KB Toys. I remember
KB.
those two. Yeah, there was a lot of great ones, but this, before we do the Negator talk, this is what I wanted to spin, because you were, like you've been bringing up for the past couple episodes, like what are three definitive stories or something or three definitive appearances canons of why this, character, if you want to know about this character, go to this story in particular. Well, I wanted to do something different because I'm going to give you two characters, and they're not from I'm not talking about in the cartoon form. I'm talking about action figure form, because there's so many people that hate two particular Masters of the Universe characters, and I want you, with your way of speaking, then I'll do the same thing. Tell them why these are great action figures. Because for whatever reason, vintage people hate Snout Spout and Rio Blast because they feel like they both don't belong in Masters of the Universe. So I want you to start off first with Snout Spout, and then of course go to Rio Blast, but tell everybody, why are these characters that you should love them instead of just hating them like they like to do? A lot of fans do.
God Almighty, man! I know, and we've touched on Snouts about multiple times on this podcast for this very reason too. I swear to God, it's just like one of those things. Like it's, I look at Snout Spout and I put him right next to Man at Arms. I'm like, why are you saying this one belongs and this one doesn't? Because if people are fine with Spikor and Clawful and Buzz Off and Merman and Mossman, Scareglow and Ninjor, a wide variety of creatures, cyborgs, robots, and things, but a cybernetic elephant with the water squirting feature. Everyone thought was cool with Cobra Khan. Snakes don't spit water, even though it's supposed to be gas, technically, but it's spitting water. An elephant does shoot water out of his trunk, a cybernetic elephant at that, and he's a firefighter. I'm like, how can you not like that? I mean, I can't risk pulling him off the shelf without knocking down a bunch of stuff. I've always loved that character. I wanted him ever since I saw an image of him. I think it was on the back of one of the card backs it's like the elephant guy. I want the elephant guy, And I remember trading current action figures in 5th grade to a kid in 4th grade whose brother gave it to him. He didn't want it anymore and traded me, and that's how I got my Snout Spout that's on my shelf up here from my trade and from 5th grade, because I desperately wanted this character. Snout Spout is, the animal thing. It's not with all the characters. Honestly, some of them you wouldn't even know that they're animals. Like Webstore, as a kid, I didn't know the spider motif because he didn't look like a spider at all. There's no webbing store. It's just a grappling hook and everything. It's just to me, it was a cool name and a kick-ass character. Whereas something like, Spike, or hell, I didn't know it was a porcupine related kind of thing to that because he doesn't look like that. Clawful, clearly know that's kind of a play on a lobster. Now, when you explain it to somebody, a lobster guy, what? That seems kind of silly. Then you show them the badass that Clawful is. And you're like, oh, I get it now. So I've never understood why Snout Spout is looked down upon. Is this, putz of a character that doesn't belong? A cybernetic elephant with an axe, that can, who's people as if like, do you know how, I'm assuming with his trunk, given it's a cybernetic trunk, it probably fires as hard as like a standard water hose.
Yeah, imagine getting hit with that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna get knocked on your ass quite, a good feet away, or a good long ways away if you with that kind of attack. So to me, he fits perfectly. No, and I can't stand it. I've noticed it for years on forums and stuff. People taking shots at the character. I almost break my foot off in their ass.
No, which you're right. I mean, Snout Spout, again, as a kid, it's just I would do what I did with every other one of our Masters of the Universe figures. Use your imagination, even if they weren't in the comics, which he was in some of the comics, and even if he wasn't in the cartoon, which yes, he popped up in some of the episodes of
Freaked out when I saw him in the Christmas specials as a kid, like the elephant guy.
Yeah, exactly. We know he's hose nose there, but either way, even without having them there, we used our imaginations just like we did with every other character. But when they'd say an elephant character, because like JSP said, he thinks it's the elephant factor. But there were some people said, "Oh, he's a cybernetic elephant. It doesn't belong." It's like, okay, what makes Buzz Off, Ram Man, Stinkor, Yeah,
Cyborg for crying out loud.
what makes them belong, but not Snout Spout? It's just they're all fantasy, technology, it's all mixed into one, and it works with the gimmick of the name, but you play with them, you have fun. And as a toy, like I said, I had a blast having them squirt to like knock down the enemies, like you said, because you envision it not just being, oh, I'm gonna squirt a water gun at this enemy. You're figuring it is the power of a fire hose, which would blow somebody back just feet and feet away. That's going to be some hard pressure. Along with he'd have an axe if you want to use, reality. And let's say he did want to get violent, he's got an axe too. But it was a fun figure to play with. You love doing it with Cobra Khan. You love doing it with Dragon Blaster Skeletors, squirting the water. It just added to more of the characters with gimmicks. So I loved them, and I never understood the hate. And then the other one, well, I'll just go real quick to
And
Real.
for like a good visual image for what we're talking about with the fire hose, go watch a UHF when Michael Richards' character turns on the fire hose and that little kid, it knocks him across the room. When he says, "You get the drink from the fire hose, ready?" Boom! And it sends the kid across the room. That's what's going to happen when Snout Spout gets pissed off and comes after you.
Not even, and along with that, have you seen that where they've showed sometimes where people are trying to hold a fire hose by themselves when they turn on the water, and you see them just getting, it's like, yeah, so you got to have that grip to the ground. You got to have that what do you call balance?
Stand there,
and push it right.
Firing water at you. You're gonna sit there and be dismissive of that?
Yeah, that low center of gravity to be able to keep yourself still to blast that. That'd be. I wouldn't want to fight him. So Snout Spout. I mean, like I said, I've always loved the character. And then we go to Rio Blast, where this character, oh my god, it just again all about gimmicks. Man, did I love when I first got that figure. I remember pulling out that package, putting those guns, like, oh my god, how cool was it to pop his chest open with guns, guns here, guns here, guns out of his legs. The ones that came over his shoulders, like, this guy's like a one-man walking army. How cool is that? I mean, he looked badass. And I never once thought he looks like he's somebody that, of course, you can say he looks like he's a lawman from Earth, but I never thought, he looks like he's from Earth.
I don't think so. He looks. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, they always say he looks like he's from Earth. He looks like he's from Texas. He looks like a porn star. What's he doing in Masters of the Universe? I was like, I never thought of that. Especially knowing, like I said, he's a lawman from another planet. Anyways, he's not even from, Eternia. He is from another planet, not Earth, but he's from somewhere else who came to Eternia to help. But I thought, this is the coolest looking character. I mean, the only thing that could have added to his, gimmick better is hell. Could you picture if there would have been lights or sparking up features with his guns or something? But God, just itself, you could picture him going into battle. He was the one that I used to like putting in the front when I would set up all my figures. I would like have him supposed to be the one in the front that go, like would start shooting at all the evil enemies, and then all my heroic warriors would come in to follow. But why would you hate Rio Blast? But go ahead, you tell her. But I mean, I just don't get it. I don't get the Rio Blast.
I don't get it either. He's a character that fits. I mean, he's like Snout Spout and anybody else in the line. He fits perfectly with his look and design. Yes, he's given a few kind of a Texas lawman, like a U.S. Marshal kind of look, / cowboy. But that. But it's not too far in that direction where it feels like this is too earthy. It looks perfectly matched with everybody else. I mean, I will say I was never too cool. I mean, and I never noticed this until much later on that Extendor looked like a knight. I never got that as a kid. I just saw as this big guy and kind of because he didn't look like a traditional knight in shining armor. He looked like a big muscle guy with this kind of faceplate over, because it didn't look like the typical knight's helmet with like the visor that would lift up with like the feather on top or the horse tail or something like that. So I never got that Extendor is essentially as a knight. So if a knight, of course, this doesn't count for Sir Laser-Lock because that character sucks.
Oh dear God.
But a knight and a cowboy, essentially, in a world of sword and sorcery that's filled with technology. So to have a guy that's filled with all kinds of laser guns in his wrists, his chest, his legs, a backpack that folds over, or a barbarian rides in a Wind Raider in a mechanical horse, and and you've got a cyborg from another planet from the prison star who's got detachable weapons, including a laser cannon or a lasertron, or excuse me, and things like that. And you've got blast attack. You've got horde troopers. All this technology. No, but we can't have a guy who looks like a sheriff, so to speak, but kind of redesigned to fit in a world of He-Man. Can't have that. That doesn't fit. Much like a skunk doesn't fit in He-Man either, or Clamp Champ doesn't fit because he just got a clam,
I mean,
Well,
it's all made to, just like I said, make us use our imagination and fit into this world of fantasy with magic and science. It just all meshes together. But it's like a couple of the people were in the chat room were saying JSP said he loved Rio Blast. He said could have made a good Brave Star character. And what's funny is, remember that old thing we seen? There was gonna be, wasn't there gonna be at one time, they had the thoughts of crossing over Masters of the Universe into the world of Brave Star at one point for like some kind of Brave Star episode or something at the beginning of Brave Star.
I think the series has kind of helped jettison Brave Star, and I think that Brave Star was going to actually look to He-Man as like someone he admires and would like. That's what I want to bring to New Texas. I want to be what He-Man was to Eternia. I want to bring, like, he kind of admired and looked up to He-Man. I believe I forgot where I read that. I think it's something that James Etok may have brought
Yeah,
up
because
to
I
me.
couldn't remember. I thought at one time, Dusan, Mitrovic. I thought he posted that like maybe on I don't know, one of those groups, and maybe even tagged me on the picture. And I know that's how it came up. But I mean, yeah, that would have been a great little crossover. Along with, I know in the UK comics they went in depth with Rio Blast. They actually gave him a really big origin story. And I might be wrong because I have not read that story in a long time, so I apologize if I don't remember everything. But I thought there was a reference to something about Brave Star or their planet or something. I thought was referenced in that story with Rio Blast from the UK comics. So I could be wrong because what's weird is actually, um, okay, I know, like you said, the cowboy thing that some people say, yeah, they might have like when they read the fastest draw in the universe, they might have thought, okay, well, he is speaking like,
Do many favors when they have him saying, hey, Tarnation, talking like
yeah, and
cowboy.
having barbecue sauce and looking, that didn't help, of course. And so that might have been ingrained in people's heads, but I still never thought he didn't belong. But
Oh,
out of all things, what's weird is the Wonder Bread cards that you got back then. They actually, on the back of each Wonder Bread card, had a story. And that was the first time that talked about Brave Star in the Star Band and being from somewhere else and not Eternia. That was the first time it was actually mentioned, from at least from what I remembered as a childhood, in childhood material out of the Star comics that maybe he could have been in, or the mini comics or anywhere. That was the first time from stuff we could have as kids that I remember seeing something official, at least in the United States, because I was like, well, I can't remember if that story, was in the UK first or here. But for the United States, the first time we seen a mention of that with Brave Star was on the back of the Wonder Bread card. So, you guys can actually do yourself a favor, find them on eBay. They're actually cool. They each have a little interesting piece. But, oh, yeah, just like Tyler said, I mean, it's the world of fantasy. So why, with all these other cybernetic characters from Dragstore to Mosquito, Blast Attack, and everybody else you can think, and Snout Spout, why wouldn't he belong? Hell, even Mechanic, as simple as this mechanical neck that can stretch and stretch and stretch. You're using your imagination. He has cybernetics too. So what's wrong with Snout Spout and what's wrong with Rio Blast? I never understood.
right behind Joe, he's got the staction of Rio Blast back there on the shelf. I swear, if anybody looks at that, you cannot look me straight in the eye and tell me that character does not
That
belong
is,
to Masters of the Universe mythology.
it's yeah, that's an amazing, God, those stactions. Talk about, yeah, but yeah, they really gave him an upgrade there. But either way, from the vintage one to this to the classics figure, I never understood the hate for him. So yeah, just
I get most of the hate for a lot of the characters that and I feel this way about a lot of toy lines. Like people like to dog certain characters in GI Joe and Turtles. I'm like, no, I very very few characters, if any, where I'm like, no, I like them all. I can't say there's a character that doesn't fit in this. And Silverhawk is another one. Like I like all the Silverhawks. I like all the Thundercats, heroes and villains both.
and you're
Except
pretty well versed in Brave Star. You watched a lot of Brave Star, didn't you? Okay, because I'll pass this question to you. It's from
I
Christopher.
okay.
It's from Christopher Dahlberg. He said, "Don't you think Stampede and Horde Prime are incredibly similar villain types?" He
Yeah,
said, "Also, he's okay, all right."
yeah, yeah. I've often thought that as well. Which Obviously, it's done by Filmation. It worked for He-Man and She-Ra, or for She-Ra. This kind of character. But there's definitely a lot of ties to Brave Star in the He-Man mythology as well, and it would have been a great crossover. But yes, Horde Prime and Stampede, there's definitely a lot of similarities, and I dare say I think I like Stampede better than Horde Prime. Just because Stampede, you actually see him. He created Tex Hex, at least the Tex Hex form that we see in the show. And I don't know. I have more fun watching Stampede. The idea that Tex Hex does answer to somebody, that one doesn't bother me as much as Hordak answering to somebody, as we've discussed before. I just
Right.
I'm not a fan of that at all. But it's not like Tex Hex is constantly groveling at Stampede. He just comes off as so conniving and malicious all the time. Anyway, gosh, we're gonna have to do it. We're gonna have to touch on Brave Star at some point.
Yeah, that would be a fun topic. Do a little crossover, especially since they were mentioning one time of maybe having this whole tie-in together. So it could be fun to talk about that in the what ifs and could have been if it could have happened. That'd be a good one.
Yeah.
I did want to say one thing to Zentron. He was referring back to when I was talking about when I played with Rio Blast, having him in the middle and all the others would then come in. He said I should have placed him on a higher position. Oh, I could understand that. Probably would have had the high ground, would have been able to shot, but I guess as a kid, I wanted him right in the action Zentron, but I do see where you're coming from, and I appreciate that. So, but all right. Well, now we'll move into the final topic, talking about a character which you don't hear a lot about, and that's Negator. So, Tyler, go ahead, start us off with Negator.
Oh
And that's
boy,
N. That's with an N, not an M like McDonald's. That's an N, as
like
in
negative, Negator, negative.
yes.
But if you're not familiar with Negator, he was only in 2 episodes in He-Man, and what's it? One episode called Game Plan in season 1, and then Trouble's middle name in season 2. Game Plan is the episode that really showcases the character. He's wasted in Trouble's middle name, and I wouldn't even recommend even watching that episode. It's such a forgettable episode, and Negator's wasted and is like an afterthought in the episode. If you want to know more about know what this character is about, you got to watch Game Plan. And he comes off as a very technologically advanced, very intelligent character, and he like when he shows up, he's interested in obtaining Man at Arms' services and his technology because he just appreciates how smart and technologically inclined. Is that right? Well, whatever. That Man at Arms is very good with technology and building weapons of all sorts, and he wants to obtain that. He wants to essentially buy him to come work for him because he loves technology as well. Plus, he likes putting people in his own video game maze for his own amusement, kind of like the Game Master, where he likes to watch people fight for his amusement as well. So the similarities there between Negator and the Game Master, but a popular thing, and I know Joe can't wait to talk about this, is that in this episode, and I like to think of it as canon, is that he draws his extra strength from these creatures called Nerbs who look like Jawas from Star Wars.
Love those little things. They even sound like them, and when they make those little sounds, like or whatever, yeah. But no, the Nerbs, you're right. I love those little Nerbs because, when he was like, Nerbs, power me. And, they power them. But I always, like I was asking the town, I was like, well, did he create the Nerbs? The Nerbs somehow form and help make him who he was with this extra power? I always wondered, like, what started what between those two? Because he would use all the, when he used up his power, he needed them to charge him to use his power more. But when he ran out of power, it's like you figure you need the Nerbs. So I wasn't quite sure if maybe he created them. Like maybe he was just like you said, he's a science guy that mixes with science and creates games and does technology. Maybe at one time, let's do a hypothetical, maybe he was just a regular guy creating all this stuff, and he created these Nerbs that maybe he realized had a way of channeling power within him that he could channel and use out. So it's not like he needs them to live, but maybe he created these Nerbs just to power him up, charge him up, and yeah, just like I said, the hypotheticals of like how they all came to be.
I've always often thought of the Nerbs as like a race, and that it's probably a planet that of these little creatures that embody this awesome energy that they can emit, but they're obviously very submissive. because they're obviously working, for Negator. They follow his every, command. The minute he says power, they lean for it and they blast power from their eyes, without a second thought, and they're just there to serve him. And obviously, towards the end, when he's getting fed up and he wants more power to the point where they just disintegrate,
Yeah, yeah.
it kills both the nerves, so they're both dead. But I often thought that maybe like they come from somewhere, not a planet of nerves, but there is probably a group, maybe a small race of these creatures that he is used, to help build his technology, to help use his power to take what he wants, and use it for his own advantage from other people he's come in contact with. I want their technology. They will not give it to me. I need more power to overpower them. And, just constantly just taking and taking and taking to build up his solo empire within his ship, that he can put people in this video game, that he watches them die for his own amusement, and just traveling around the galaxy looking for ways to upgrade his technology. And I mean, when you look at it that way, this is just kind of going by what me and Joe observed from watching this episode. This is kind of what you kind of get the idea that this is what this guy is about. And I love this episode. I think we did do a commentary. Or did we do a commentary for it, or did we just talk about the episode?
This is the one that I think we just talked about. I don't think we did a commentary. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think we did either. I think we just did a discussion about it. It's one of those like late night Saturday night popcorn episodes. Like if you were to watch like this kind of awesome monster sci-fi movie later on. To me, the episode game plan has this kind of vibe, especially when they go after Negator. They're running around in his ship, and they get transported into the game, and Negator's face is hovering above them inside the maze and mocking them.
Because what was that? What was the name of the device that Man at Arms was using that went through rocks and everything that fascinated Negator? That's like what really caught his eye.
Beam Blaster, I think.
Was it? Okay, because I'll be honest, I couldn't remember, but I know that
it's not a very unique
catchy name. Yeah, I don't think it was super catchy, but that really is what caught his eye, because you're right. I mean, he's just wanting to know ways to increase in any of his technology. And you're right, because you can see him as being a person that relishes in the delight of watching people compete in his games and see if they could survive. And obviously, if it wasn't such, if it was a cartoon or another type of thing that had more of an edge, I could envision, yes, he probably likes seeing death within his games. That's how you could see this character, because he is all about power. And to think about those nerves, how strong they are, it's not like they only charge to power him. They have the ability to like look at each other to teleport and then teleport him places. They have so many abilities. That's why when I've seen them use all their final bit of energy to charge him and they dissipated and you just seen the smoke, you thought, wow, I mean, what's going to happen with Negator now? I mean, once he uses his power, he's done. He doesn't have these guys, unlike you said, maybe there's a race of them, but I always thought, man, if he created them, he's going to have to make some more or something, because
yeah, I almost feel like it would kind of defeat the purpose if he's creating them. He's got just the two. It's not like he's got a whole ship of these guys running around. He's just got two on board, and kind of under the impression that these two have probably been with him for a while. And he hasn't had to use them to the point where they die.
Yeah, because they didn't. That's the thing. They didn't bring them back. The Nerbs did not come back in the other episode.
Hell, for all we know, these two Nerbs decided to side with Negator. They like what he's about. They submit to his leadership. Maybe the rest of the Nerbs are peace loving and they use their power for good. Whereas these two particular ones, they like the idea of greed and just being evil and just fulfilling their masters every demand of
and that's perfectly said. That's the other thing. He looks evil. That's what I like. There's been so many characters that sometimes who are evil characters that just didn't seem like they came across looking like it, but with his white hair, those black eyebrows, and that sinister look, he looked like one wicked man. So that's what I mean. And when he appeared in the other episode, which oh god, what was it called? The other episode? Okay, yeah. When he was in that, see, you're right. He didn't have time to shine, but
he's
it's like,
sweet.
yes, that's what sucked is he's the one that you were seeing behind the scenes. He's trying to get because he wants to get that sunstone. He figured if he gets the sunstone, he'll have the power and be stronger than He-Man. But he didn't. He was using more of his gadgets and little creatures to do things, robot creatures. And it sucked that he didn't get to shine because yes, once he finally got the sunstone and became super big, then you have Prankster. That's another character that's within the cartoon, which we can always discuss that episode at some point.
No,
But he's
I don't
yeah,
want to.
yeah, exactly. He's been
Well,
doing things.
cute character. I like the robot that's with him, but it's just
Blinker, yeah, it was
yeah,
Blinker. Yeah,
it's a waste. And it's written by what supposedly J. Michael Straczynski. And you're like, you wrote this? Something didn't translate from script to
yeah,
screen.
because you're waiting for a big thing. It's like the climax at the end. It just wasn't worth the buildup. It's like he gets the power. Blinker uses one of his spells because he was annoying the hell out of the heroic warriors. And then he makes a cloud and it covers the sun. So the sun couldn't charge the sunstone, which then, like you said, in a part that makes no sense, not only did Negator shrink down to his normal size, he got even smaller. And then he gets absorbed in the sunstone. I'm like, I don't even know what the hell is going on at the end of this. It annoyed me. It's like, so that's what happened to Negator? He's now in the Sunstone and it got recharged. It's like, so what's that mean? What, just so terrible to get all that power, become so big, you think he's going to be a threat, and then he shrinks even smaller and disappears. I was like, what happened? I always remembered at the end of that episode, I was like, I don't understand what just happened.
I mean, and Manonos makes a point to sit there and say that, well, I'm sure Negator will be back at some point. So,
Yeah.
their way of saying, he's not dead. But still, it was just, for such an interesting villain that was shown very prominently and played up as a good heel in game plan. You bring him back, and there's no proper build up. It's almost as if like you've got, and it wasn't like there was a great deal, but you've got too many small storylines going on to bring Negator in. It's almost as if like Negator, like, or any villain for that matter, just didn't fit in the story that they're trying to tell in this episode. That's
especially trying to talk about Prankster with his blink. You're right. It's like it was just like you're saying too many things. Like now I'm focusing on Prankster and Blinker and all the crap he's doing. Stuff Orko saying to him, stuff they're saying about trying to stop him, and then it goes back to Negator, and then showing his little robots and these robot sand creatures or whatever the hell they were. It's like it was just too much that they were trying to tell. Even at the beginning of telling about the power of the Sunstone, like testing somebody's worth when they're answering a question. Like
nothing to do with the rest of the episode.
Nothing.
You're just not quite sure. I'm sure James has got the original script, and maybe there were some things in that original script that were actually good.
It makes you think that, doesn't it? There was maybe something that was left out that didn't make the cutting room, or just end up on the cutting room floor.
Well, that's why the whole idea of the prankster character from Trala has no business in the episode. If it's strictly He-Man, Teela, and Man-at-Arms have got to go to the Temple of the Sun, which I believe is a throwback to Temple of the Sun, with Nepthu and that lame-ass villain that he was. But then you got Negator, wanting to obtain the Sunstone. That's your story. But there's entirely too much stuff with Prankster and his robot that takes away from the idea that Negator is running around trying to take it for himself and, becomes the villain in the episode. He's just taking a back seat and just throwing it. Well, we got to have a villain in this episode. Bring him back. We haven't used this in season 1. Throw him in there.
Yeah, and especially you're right. As many episodes that they've had that revolved around Trollins, like Squanch and Yuckers and other ones, you figured Prankster, along with his robot Blinker, that should have been its own episode. I mean, it doesn't, like you said, it was meshing two things together was too much. Because I always remember the thing that, caught my eye when I seen Prankster was, hey, it's a Trollin, and I can see his legs, and I can see his face. And I always thought, well, that's kind of cool. But still, it wasn't enough focusing on him. It was back and forth. And then, how can we, rip off another cartoon and have it to where if he says his name, his real name, it'll make him go away. It's like, oh, God, here we go.
Main character, Mix Picklick, I think that's how you say his name. That's how you get rid of him. You have to get him to say his name. And I just felt like that, and that's another part of the story. Like, what does this have to do with everything else you're trying to say? It was like those later season 2 episodes, man. There's a lot of bad ones, very very few good ones, man. It's definitely I've noticed that when I first got the entire set on VHS, like there's a lot of bad episodes in the latter half of season two, man, where it's just bad. I mean, really bad episodes. Where
That's a shame because, yeah, I mean, Negator, if he was, I mean, when I was expecting him to come back or when he did, should have had such a bigger presence. And Zentron, yes, it was his eyebrows that definitely made that evil look of him come out more. And yeah, and also what Zen Brown said, which, oh yeah, this is going to be a big yes, I'm sure, for me and Tyler. He said he would have liked to seen him in MYP. Oh my God, if they could have brought Negator and MYP, oh, can you imagine how they could have amped him up in that?
oh man, I mean, for what they did for Mossman, I mean not Mossman, Count
Count
Marzo.
Marzo, yeah, Count Marzo, yeah.
Negator would have been. I think he probably would have topped Count Marzo because I didn't like Marzo in Filmation, and I loved Marzo in MYP.
Absolutely.
Like Negator, I think they would have just made him such a legitimate ass kicker in MYP, and that it had been like those nerves have to be with him. Like to me, that's I think when people do bring up that character, and Joe has done it too, the nerves are part of the character, even though they're only in one episode. They're such a prominent part of that episode. It's like the game master without Bear Man, Insect Man, the humanoid, or Uncle Montauk without Garg. I
Gark
get
with a K. Gark with the
Garg.
K at the end.
God,
Yeah.
even as a K, I can never get the name right. But anyway, there's just certain characters that you just associate them being together. Skeletor and Panther, He-Man and Banacat, the Nerves and Negator
Yeah, they have to be together. Have to be.
have to be there. Like, and I just as like his like his familiars, like a witch and her black cat or something like that. These
Sure.
Nerves there, at his side at all times. And they don't back talk, they don't question, they just do whatever he asks them to do. And they're creepy little things too. You wouldn't want to see them running around in a dark alley somewhere. You know.
No,
That,
that's what I mean. I mean, because they played as much a role in game plan as Negator did in that episode. I mean, they were there quite a bit, using and doing quite a bit. I mean, a lot of things. They did many things. Like I said, besides charging them and teleporting them and doing other stuff, yeah, they would have to show up. I will say one thing, Zen Brown. I'm going to say a no to this. I love it that you're commenting with this, but I'll say, oh God, no. He said, yeah, Negator, he could have been a King Grayskull villain in a flashback. No, no, no.
no, 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 no. No, we can't have that. We can't have anybody good associating with that abomination of a character.
That one, I wouldn't want it that. I love that you said that though, but no. So that's our Negator discussion, and
We'll
well,
do a game plan discussion or a commentary at some point too, because that'd be a fun episode to do commentary for.
yes. So, well, I was going to say it's getting towards the end of the show. If you guys had a couple questions you want to ask before we wrap it up, you go ahead. You can ask us right now in the chat room. Again, like I always say, anything you want to ask from the cartoon, comics, toys, anything you want to say, go ahead, shoot some questions right now in the chat room, and then we can answer your questions before we wrap it up. But no, yeah, it's going back to what he said earlier about if he was in MYP, because I remember yeah, Count Marzo. That was probably the absolute coolest upgrade that any of the characters got from then to going into MYP. I did enjoy Mossman. I like how he looked too. I wasn't a super fan of Evil Seed. I've said this before. I said a million times. I appreciate the look of the original Filmation Evil Seed and the MYP one. It didn't do it for me. Not saying he's bad. It just I didn't feel it, but I definitely felt that Count Marzo upgrade. He definitely was one imposing character. I mean, you felt like he could overtake a lot of the other evil warriors and be his own person. That's how strong he was. But okay, wait, let me see. Okay, well, first I'll get JSP, then Adam Gabbert. JSP said, "Where'd you get those 3D wall decorations, Joe?" Oh, well, okay. Well, I got them when I was a kid. There was I mean, there's a lot of different merchandise, but they made a He-Man one, Man at Arms, Oracle, and Skeletor. Those four you see in back of me, the only ones they made, but it's just old vintage stuff, for my collection. I always told you I'm a pack rat and I kept everything, but yeah, they're actually cool. So, you guys ever look on eBay, you can find those four wall decorations. And I don't think they go for a whole bunch, maybe one more than the other, but yeah, well, thanks for that. I appreciate JSP, but yeah, for my childhood. Adam Gabbert said, Does Tyler own any of Joe Amato's work, like custom figure, custom dollar, a shirt? He said he likes what I've done for him. And no, I appreciate that, Adam. But no, I have not done anything for Tyler. I haven't, have I? Because I'm trying to make sure. I was like, I don't think I sent Tyler any custom money or nothing.
No, I mean you designed the T-Rex logo that Erica put on a shirt for me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And there was the Faker I Have the Power shirt that Joe pretty much was so aggressive about me buying, and when I bought it, I couldn't wear it because the largest size they had was like a baby shirt. It was like an extra large, I think. I couldn't even get it over my chest. It was so small. I'm like, I spent $30 on this damn tank top and I can't wear it.
Damn T Public screwing monsters like T Rex. Like I can't even
Yeah,
wear this
I
stuff.
did go to do a customized version of Hero, of the version that Axel has done for me. And Joe's like, well, you know what? I think I might be able to. And then he just kind of stuck me in every corner he possibly can. I've asked him if he could do, well, I've asked him about backgrounds for my figures. And I get the old heave ho. I've asked him about, I've even thrown out characters I would love to like. I'd love to see Joe do a werewolf He-Man character. That Joe's like, oh yeah, that'd be great. And I'm giving the old heave ho. I'm like the saber-toothed cat in the Flintstones cartoon. That when Fred Flintstone walks in and sets the saber-toothed cat outside, that's me. Like Joe's always setting me outside when I have something interesting I'd like him to do.
That's great.
I've got to get done. I've got to turn Hefty Smurf into Mechaneck, so I have Hefty Neck. You know?
Hefty neck. Hey, there you go. I like it. I like it.
It's like no. We don't have to. I don't have time for your. I have no time for your ideas, there, Tyler. I've got to get back to converting snorkels with merman. You know?
Oh God, snorkels. Haven't heard that in a long time. But all right, Adam. Well, thanks. I will get.
I would very much love to own a custom of Hero that Joe, but it requires him to have a Flying Fist He-Man figure, which I've only got the one from Classics, and he would need to do like a new head sculpt, and that's really about it. Well, he have to do like a new chest armor emblem with the H and the
I
R
could do that.
on that. Well,
I
I'm sure.
will.
Would you do it? No.
Adam, eventually, I promise, I'll get to Tyler and that. I will. So thank you for that, Adam. Christopher Dahlberg said, any updates on who's taking over Toys R Us? Is Child World coming back? Well, Christopher, I haven't heard anything about who would be taking over Toys R Us, but I have seen in the rumors, and it's been posted in multiple places, that possibly KB Toys is coming back. I've heard that. And you've heard that too, correct, Tyler?
Yes.
That would be great. I loved KB Toys, especially if it would just obviously focus on toys and yes, games, but nothing else. I don't want, a clothing section, a baby section, or nothing else. I want toys. Maybe that can help get people back into toy stores. Just toys and games. That's it. Maybe that could work. I don't know. So I guess we'll see. But all right. Zentron said Hordak and Horde Prime possibly related, because I think he was making reference to one episode where they could be or something. What are your thoughts on that, Tyler?
Yeah, I remember there's a reference to that. I forget which episode it is, but I'm like, I don't. I think it's just kind of one of those like random non-continuity storylines that they're just kind of throwing at random. But I don't.
Because he said, not to interrupt, but because Zentron said Perils of Whispering Woods did seem to suggest that.
But... Okay, yeah. There is that suggestion, but like I said, I remember that I haven't watched that episode in a long time. But I do remember what he's talking about. No, I'm not. I don't really buy that. I think that was something, because there's constant flip flops in a lot of episodes. There is some more continuity in She-Ra than there was in He-Man, even though there was very little, but there was some. But that's something I just don't buy. I'm not a fan of the idea of Hordak answering to anybody, much less answering to his brother or uncle or father's sister's cousin's former roommate, whatever the case may be. I just, it looked cool as a kid, but as an adult, I just don't buy it. But I certainly don't buy that they're related, even though the episode may suggest it. I just kind of would just not even take it with a grain of salt, because we've gotten enough relations in the bios. Like, we don't need to have any more.
There you go. All right. Well, one last question, and it comes from Christopher Dahlberg. Has Tyler ever seen my face?
One time, Joe posted a picture of him wearing a Meteor shirt that someone sent him, and despite what Joe would have you believe, Joe looks like your average Joe. He looks like a guy. He's got brown hair. He was wearing sunglasses in the picture, and he only had it up for maybe an hour or so. It was it was this way before we did the podcast and everything, but it was up for a very very brief time. I'm like, well, there's Joe, and Joe have you believe that he's the Beast and Beauty and the Beast, like from the '80s TV show. That he's got cat features and sharp teeth and stuff like that. But I'm like, no, he's Joe.
And
I mean, Joe's are just your average Joe. I mean, yes, yeah. I keep dragging on. Yes, I have seen Joe's face. Very few have seen Joe's face.
And it's what Tyler said, and that's what I always did to screw with people. I would sometimes wear the glasses to show my mouth, part of my eyes, part of this. I'd never shown just completely, here's Joe. I screwed around with people, and then you're right, I took it right down, but you're right. Average Joe, that pretty much sums it up. So I was like, now it's just time to take them down and just screw with people completely. Just like, let's see, Zen Brown says, don't ruin the mystique of Joe. Yeah, don't worry, Zen Brown. I ain't taking the mask off. It'll be like this all the time. And Chris Simpson, what kind of sunglasses was I wearing? You want to know what kind I was wearing? $1 pair of sunglasses. I got them from a dollar store. That's it. That was as cheap as they could be. They look nice. They kept out the sun. They did their job. Yeah, Joe can't be affording all them fancy, super expensive sunglasses. Cheapest stuff, if it works, it works.
That's part of his plan of continue to purchase the classics line is, come on, guys, buy cheap sunglasses, man.
Yeah, just here, buy this. And no, see, that's the thing, Zentron. He said easily mesh the pics together and get the full picture. Maybe that could have been possible. I mean, I try to do it different angles, but once they're all gone and they're not existing no more, people have a hell of a time piecing together stuff they can't find. Because I'm sure there's people that might have said, "Holy crap, I just seen Joe," and saved the picture. But I don't think there's many that have, every single picture. So
I think if they did, I think somebody would have serviced at some point, and then Joe would have like, that's not me. I don't know whether, but that's not me.
I mean, like, that's my cousin. Like, you guys can't prove that. Did you see me talking when I looked like this?
Like, look Italian. He doesn't look Italian at all.
Exactly. I don't look Italian at all. This is a normal guy right there. So yeah, those pictures just could have been all.
Oh, like I'm assuming that the rest of Joe's family looks like standard Italian family, and Joe looks like he was adopted by an Italian.
I tell you, I got the German color more than anything. My dad, who's dark Italian, not me. I'd look like, good Lord, Casper the Friendly Ghost, talking about white. Yeah, I sure didn't get the skin complexion there. So, but all right. Well, okay. Well, Tyler, did you want to say anything before we wrap this episode up?
Don't really have any recommendation or anything like that, but always check out Joe Amato's Customs. Check out He-Man.org. Various Facebook pages on Facebook, concerning He-Man from Descendants of Grayskull and Great Unboxing, and the Scareglow Facebook page. I forgive me, guys, I forget the exact same name, but Master Universe Classics fan, and let's see.
The Scareglow one was Scareglow's House, Family, Lives, and Giveaways. Yeah.
That's the thing. I'm not used to, Joe does most of the Facebook plugging. I thought I would try to do it, and I botched it already, so forgive me, guys. But, check all that stuff out. And I encourage people who, please, you guys want us to talk about something specific, throw us topics. Give us a character you want us to talk about. Give us an episode, or give us an idea or a theory or something you want us to discuss. So we want more fan involvement in the show. I'm so thankful that people turn out in the chat room as well and send Joe's response. Joe, you're too positive on the show. We need you to be a negative Nancy on the show. That's even that stuff. Whatever the case may be. But we want to always encourage involvement and stuff like that too. But no, I don't have anything else to suggest this week.
All right. No, I don't mention every single Facebook group because, like you said, there's so many that I always feel like, damn it, if I forget somebody's group, they'll be like, Joe, why'd you say my group? And it's not like I don't think their group's any good, but when there's tons of them, I know I'm bound to forget. I do not have the steel trap memory that Tyler has, and I would not be able to spit off 30 groups or more. So I always played the safe guy route, and I was like, you know what? I'll just mention the one group I have on Facebook, that's just, it's not even one that's gigantic. I just have it there if you want to just talk a little bit or post something or whatever. We just don't do buy, sell, and trading. I was like, I'll mention my group and be safe. And by doing that, I won't piss anybody off, I'd hope. I mean, I hope I wouldn't. But well, let me just say what I always say. First, I want to say thank you, everybody in the chat room, for joining us. Appreciate your feedback back and forth. Hope you enjoyed all our little ranting and our other stuff we do, because that's what we're about. But now I'm going to say what I always say. Go to fansofpower.com, go to popculturenetwork.com, go to hemanworld.com, and on Facebook, go to Masters Universe He-Man and She-Ra Ultimate Fan Group. All great places, all great people. So until next time, hold on one second. Christopher Dahlberg said, you need to do a Preternia show. We will do that, Christopher Dahlberg. Don't worry. We love some Preternia. We'll do an episode where we talk about that. We love, so okay. Well, so until next time.
That suggestion.
Yeah, exactly. So until next time, have a powerful day.
Oh, have someone tied up in the old cellar, have you, Rube?
Oh, there you go, the Burbs. Oh, yes. Joe redeemed himself. I got one quote out of 50. See, I'm not that bad.
I would say if you hadn't gotten that one, that's worse than you not getting Friday the 13th quotes. That really would have been the bottom of the barrel of Joe's failures if you did not get a Burbs quote.
Yeah, that would have been bad. And yes, I did miss that Friday the 13th quote. It was a Shelley one, and I should have known it from the beginning, but I didn't, so I failed. I failed the Friday the 13th. Hopefully that'll never happen again, because I'm sure at some point in the future, Tyler will Friday the 13th quote me, and I better get that. And yes, hashtag redemption. And then Zentron saying, hooray, I've finally got something. So yes, I got a quote. So
yes, finally.
All right.
So Joe doesn't look
there you go. All right, well, see you guys next week.
All right, later.